Cam Newton's comments have been they've become a national talking point, but mostly about does Cam have the right to talk, which is a ridiculous conversation. We put that to bed earlier. He's a former MVP. He can talk about football and at least not be ridiculed for it forever and ever. There are some other things you've said that I think we can actually dig our teeth into a little bit more, though. What is it about some franchises that seem to make the same mistakes over and over or mishandle similar situations over and over, despite having different coaches, different administrations, different front offices? Is it something like osmosis through the walls? Whoever sits in that office is going to make a similar mistake? Is it the planets aligning? Can someone tell me about the horoscopes and all that kind of stuff? What's your sign? Because I don't know what it is, but Cam touched on something on the QB Room podcast, which is kind of how they treat their stars, right? How Carolina treats their stars and how that's been a problem seemingly for a long time. Let's hear what Cam had to say about why the Panthers shouldn't have traded Christian McCaffrey.
This is information that a lot of people wouldn't know unless you're there. They didn't know how to coach C-Mac.
No.
That's the truth. There's no reason why this guy is having 40 touches a game and he's still practicing on Wednesday or things that we would expect our star play. They don't know how to coach a star.
They don't know how to coach a star. I'm gonna tweak that a little bit and say they don't know how to treat their stars. But to continue on, same podcast, QB Room, Cam and one of the hosts, Kyle Allen, who many of you remember from his time starting, what was it, a 5-6 week stretch with the Carolina Panthers, had a lightning in a bottle there for a second. Cam and Kyle Allen discussing CMC and the usage and the coaching around that particular star.
You remember 2019, the year you got hurt, the year I played, and he had 1,000, and he played 99% of the snaps, and he practiced every single day. Like, that is impossible, bro. That's impossible for anyone to do. And they expected that out of him for a year.
I'm not saying you treat C-Mac and show him favor. How I would treat C-Mac is this. On Wednesdays, that's your day. That's a vet move. That's your day. But you're out there every single rep coaching up the guys, and you're talking to a coach, running back coach, and saying getting your mental reps in. It's not that you're practicing, not the physical practice. You're still getting a mental practice there, right? They didn't know how to do that.
There's a lot there to take in, right? One of my greatest confusions is Cam went out of his way there to say, I'm not saying treat C-Mac with favor. I think you do. I think you say if you're on pace for 1,000 yards rushing and 1,000 yards receiving, we're not going to treat you like others. And that's fine. Like, it's very much not a situation where everybody isn't aware, right? It's you're paying one guy more than the other. This guy, has earned the right to be treated differently. It happens, right? Veterans get to sit in first class on the plane, whatever it is. Like, it's not a situation where stars and end of the bench guys are the same. It is a professional sport. It's not Little League, right? You want to play Little League baseball? Make sure everybody gets at least one at-bat and 6 outs in the field, and everybody's going to play, and everybody's going to get a rotation at shortstop, and that's fine, right? That's for the little kids, and I agree with that. Everybody should get all of the opportunities to participate in youth sports and be treated the same way by the coach. And if this guy runs, that guy has to run. If this kid has to run conditioning after, then everybody has to run conditioning after. Do that. In professional sports, it's not that. If one guy's getting 40 touches in a game, probably shouldn't be running wind sprints on Wednesdays. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You get active recovery on the side over there is what you're getting.
Yeah, exactly.
Juice boxes.
Yeah, get a couple orange slices in you.
Yeah.
And it does kind of go back to Cam. Think of the stars, I would say, of the last 15 years for the Panthers. Cam wasn't allowed to age appropriately and gracefully. CMC, they traded him away. Greg Olsen finished in Seattle. Julius Peppers aged well on other teams. Luke Kuechly chose not to. I get that. That's not really on the team.
Yeah.
But I mean, Steve Smith had a lot of years. You know, he got hurt, and then they moved on from him. He has a resurgence in Baltimore.
Mm-hmm.
So now look at the way that they've handled it the last couple of years, right? And by the way, that's a different regime, different front office, different everything. But then this, like, what's going on right now? To a lesser extent, because these guys aren't as proven stars, at least not yet. But like Brian Burns isn't being treated like a star. He's the best player on your defense. I'm not saying he should get treated like Julius Peppers, don't get me wrong, but there's not a lot of respect flowing from team to player. DJ Moore, he was your biggest star on offense once you moved on from Christian McCaffrey. He wasn't allowed to – you signed him to a big contract, then you traded him.
Yeah. Let him go too.
Like, I don't think they're understanding that they're mishandling the easy part. The hard part is hitting in the draft. The hard part is drafting Christian McCaffrey and not Leonard Fournette in that same kind of era, right? The hard part is hitting on DJ Moore. The hard part is getting Greg Olsen from Chicago. The hard part is hitting in the draft. The harder part than that is turning them into stars, right? Because you can hit in the draft and then they just never develop and they kind of fizzle after a couple years. They've done the hard part. They hit in the draft. They found the players. They developed them into stars. They turned them into franchise players. And then the easy part is just riding it out from that point forward. The easy part is making them a cornerstone. The easy part is keeping them happy once they're established. That's the easy part. They're botching the easy part. And that includes Cam and Christian McCaffrey, and it's going to include DJ Moore and probably Brian Burns, and it's going to include everybody else that ends up becoming valuable. Greg Olsen played 1 year in Seattle. He's now one of the faces of the league, by the way. He's one of the top broadcasters for Fox. And don't you wish he would have retired after playing with Carolina?
I can see why Carolina moved on from him because he constantly was having those foot injuries and such. It's like,
but he strikes me as the kind of guy who understands what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
You're hurt a bunch. We're going to pay you a little less. Cool, right? I don't think he was holding out or anything at that point in his career. He just wanted to prove he could do it again. He did that in Seattle, caught a couple passes, retired. And by the way, if you have to overpay a little bit to make one of your legends feel appreciated, it's part of being in the business, right? You want guys to want to play for you, and they see how you treat others. Like, do you think let me think of an example. Actually, Dennis, this example will hit home for you.
Okay.
Big Ben.
Mm-hmm.
They let him ride into the sunset.
That they did.
And was his skill set deteriorating?
Yes.
Yes. But no harm, no foul, right? They still finished every season above 500. They still did what they had to do.
They got that big win against Cleveland, his final, I think, regular season game. They made it to the playoffs, and everyone's like, we're good.
Yeah, exactly.
Everyone's like, you know what? This is fine.
Sometimes it's and letting your stars have the day off, treating them differently, negotiating with them differently, understanding which players mean something to your fan base, and understanding that if you do them wrong, your fan base is going to feel scarred by that. Like, all of that is important, and the Panthers have messed that up like generation after generation. It's not always the same GM. It's not always the same head coach. It's not always the same position, but you can be pretty sure that you're going to buy, like, a player's going to become a Panther. They're going to play well. They're going to become a star. You're going to buy their jersey. Then they're going to be mistreated. And then you're going to have a jersey of a guy that you like who is not being treated well by the team you like.